All right. So thank you all for joining us today. My name is Graham Killian, and I'm the Education Marketing Manager for Performance Assessment Network and Am I Job Ready? So many of you joining us today are Am I Job Ready users from institutions across the country. So thanks for joining us. We couldn't be more excited to have you with us today. So this is the first in what we hope to become a series of live learning webinars, which we plan to host several times a year with the goal of providing you, our Am I Job Ready users, with some additional resources to help you connect the dots to your real-world career journeys. So whether you're a first-year student trying to figure out your major, or working towards your first internship, or maybe you're a graduating senior trying to land that dream job, or even if you've been in the working world for a few years but haven't quite found the right fit for you yet, we hope that webinars like the one today will give you some additional tools and strategies to not just land that dream job, but more importantly, be happy and successful at it. So we're excited and grateful to have someone like Simon Vetter with us today who will be delivering the presentation. But before I go ahead and introduce Simon, I just wanted to go over a few quick housekeeping items. So everybody's microphones should be muted, those that have joined. So please keep those muted throughout the presentation to avoid any distracting feedback. Also, in your GoToWebinar menu, please go ahead and just locate where the chat section is in the GoToWebinar menu screen. So there will be a couple of engagement questions that Simon will be asking throughout the presentation. So go ahead and type your responses in that chat section when the time comes. And also towards the end of the presentation, we will have some time for Q&A with Simon. So use that chat section to enter your questions. We will also be administering a quick poll, so that's something that will pop up on your screen. So when you see a question pop up on your screen with a yes or no answer, just go ahead and respond accordingly. And then finally, we will be recording this presentation to be made available after the fact. So if maybe yourself, one of your friends wasn't able to join today, or you just want to look back for some additional notes, we will have the recording of this presentation available. You can view it by going back to the same link that you clicked to join today's webinar. It will also be hosted on our blog at amijobready.com, as well as on our YouTube and Facebook pages for Am I Job Ready. I'm going to go ahead and get the show started. So please allow me to introduce today's presenter, Simon Vetter. So Simon Vetter is the CEO of Standout International and is a behavioral change expert. With over 20 years of experience in executive coaching and management training, he specializes in personal brand management, building executive presence and behavioral change for professionals and managers. His clients include small to medium-sized businesses, as well as Fortune 500 companies, such as Ingersoll Rand, Dell, Microsoft, and Siemens. Simon is the author of Stand Out, Branding Strategies for Business Professionals, and next month, he will be publishing his new book, Leading with Vision, The Leader's Blueprint for Creating a Compelling Vision and Engaging the Workforce. The topic today is Pursuing Your Dream Job, How to Prepare for an Exciting and Rewarding Career. So, without further ado, I will hand the controls over to Simon to take it away. Thanks, Simon.
Thank you, Graham. I'm excited to be here. Welcome, everyone. A few more background information about my career. Again, my name is Simon Vetter. I am originally from Switzerland, from the German part, and that's why you detect an accent. So I grew up in Bern. I went to university, have a degree in business and marketing. And then after that, I got into the management training industry. I started out as a marketing manager, put together conferences, executive programs, and really enjoyed the learning and training space. After 4 years, I was in my late 20s, I decided to come to the US to refresh and improve my English. And I came to San Diego, where I'm still living, and went through an interesting career transition. Eventually, I found a position for another training company, Dale Carnegie Training, and I started out in sales and became an instructor. And after 4 years, I decided to branch out on my own, and I started my own consulting and coaching company called Standout International. And the purpose is to really help leaders and companies create positive changes for the organization. So as a consultant and coach, I do 3 things. Number 1, I coach. I have one-on-ones, mainly work with executives, managers. Number 2, I train and coach. I teach and speak, so I do things like this. I also do workshops and training sessions. And number 3, I'm writing. And I wrote a book a few years back about personal brand management. It's called Stand Out. And next month, I'm publishing the new book, Leading with Vision. And I'll tell a little bit more about that at the end. Just to give you a quick background, here are some of the companies that I'm working with. And really as a consultant and as a coach. And so I get to see a lot of different organizations across the world. I do a lot of work in the US, in Europe, have done some work in Asia. And I also work with a lot of different cultures. So I have a good understanding of what do companies need and how is it working in those organizations. The goal for today is giving you ideas, tools, knowledge, tips, how you can successfully transition into the workplace and find a fulfilling, rewarding career. I assume most of you are in college or university, and you're probably thinking about what next. What are you going to do after you graduate? And one of the things I learned over my career, I wished I had this information that I teach you today when I was in college and university. Think about your career now. It's the best time because now you can start preparing, start to build awareness, start to create your own plan. And because the career is something we're going to do for the next 40 years. It's a very important decision and you want to make sure you get off the right start. And today I give you a lot of different tools and from my own experience and from having worked with a lot of companies and also other students. I'm teaching a class at Aligned University here in San Diego, and I have taught about 6 courses for people like yourself. Now let me go back to the year 1997. That was a big career transition for myself and a big learning. I remember the day, it was March the 15th. And I decided to come to San Diego and take a 3-month English program. So back in Switzerland, I grew up close to the mountains. In the winter, I went skiing. In the summer, I went mountain biking. I worked there. I grew up. I speak Swiss German, so I'm immersed in the Swiss culture. Now, when I came to San Diego, it was March 15th. I fly into the airport. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. I have 2 suitcases and my mountain bike. I step outside the airport and I see the palm trees. There's a fresh ocean breeze in my face, and I just see the sun going down over the horizon. And I thought to myself, this is a lovely place. The next 3 months, I improved my English, and then afterwards I decided I want to stay here, live here, and work here. I had a few challenges. I didn't know many people, never worked here, and I didn't have a work permit. Somehow I said, I'm going to find a way. I want to stay here. I love the beach. I love the ocean. I love the weather. I love the Californian lifestyle. I want to figure out a way to get a job. Now, the odds were not for me. And we have this saying in Swiss German, wo ein Wille ist ein Weg. Where there is a will, there is a way. So I established a vision for myself. And at that time, I lived by the ocean in Pacific Beach. And all the businesses were inland. There is a big business valley called Sorrento Valley where all the high-tech companies are. And I imagined I'm going to get a job, and in the morning I'm going to drive on the freeway towards Sorrento Valley, exit, and then I drive into the parking lot and I walk into this big 5-story building. And I'm going to work there. So I had this picture in my mind that I'm going to get a job, I'm going to work there every day. And I had the belief I'm going to make it happen. So 3 months later, I made it happen. I got a job. It was in Sorrento Valley. It was a glass building. And every day I park, walk into the building, and work there. That was my first day at Dale Carnegie training, October 15. Now, what happened between is a lot of learning. And some of the things you learn today is give you all the tips, what helped me. And I know when you apply some of those tools, it will help you find a great job. Now, when I was looking for a job, I wanted not just a job, I want to find my career sweet spot. I want a job that gets me excited. I enjoy going to work. And the sweet spot is a combination of 3 things. Number 1, we got to understand our competencies, our strengths. So I asked myself, what I'm really, really good at. What are my top assets that I can offer a company? What can only I do? And so I had to really understand myself and my strengths. The second area is passion. What I'm passionate about. What's important to me? What do I value? What gets me excited Monday morning? And in our new book, Leading with Vision, we have this concept called taking stairs 2 at a time. Now, let me tell you a quick background story. When I was 9 years old, every Wednesday afternoon, I had off and I went play soccer nearby a field, back in my hometown near Bern. 6 o'clock, I knew I had to be at home. I was running home right before 6, taking 2 stairs 2 at a time, running to my apartment where my mother prepared and cooked a fresh apricot pie. It was my favorite pie. Fresh apricots, a thin crust dough with whipped cream, hazelnut sprinkled, and a cold, fresh glass of milk. It was my favorite meal. I loved it. And I also knew my mom made it with love, so I felt very appreciated. I took stairs 2 at a time every Wednesday evening. I got so excited to do that. Now, ask people around you who are going to work. Do they take stairs 2 at a time? Are they excited to go to work? I know too many people. They take stairs 2 at a time at 5 p.m. They cannot wait to get out of work because it's not what they enjoy doing. Now, how do we reverse that? How can you get excited in the morning to go to work instead of leaving work? And so it has a lot to do with your passion. So you got to figure out what's your passion, your interest, your desire. Number 3 is organizational needs. What are the problems that companies have? What do they need? What are some of the issues they have that you can add value? So we have to really put a thoughts about the organizational perspective. And the sweet spot is the place where you offer what you do best, you love doing it, and you get paid for it. That was the case when I got that job with Dale Carnegie Training. I thought, I'm good at it, I enjoy doing it, and the company paid me to do it. And I'm glad to say over the last 20 years, I've found my sweet spot. What I do now, I love doing it. My clients say I create great value, and I'm good at it. And I get paid. So what is your sweet spot? It's a good thought process to go through. Now here's a quick link to the book. It's coming out next month, Leading with Vision. And it also applies, it's about companies and help them understand how to create and convey a compelling vision and engage the workforce around it. So it's a great read for you because you better understand the company's perspectives. And we talk about creating a great culture, creating connectedness between the company and the employees' emotions, and some powerful concepts that can help you also with leading with vision for your career. It's already available on Amazon, so if you're interested, go there and you can buy your own copy. Now, let's talk about 6 steps, 6 areas that I believe when you apply them will help you to find your sweet spot. It did for me. First, you're going to have a game plan for your career. I work with a lot of people in career transition, and too many are very action-oriented. They want to find a new job. The first thing they do, they update their resume, they send it out, and then they wait. Very tactical. If you go play football or soccer, I love soccer, you don't go on the field and just play the ball to each other. You have a game plan. You understand the opposite team, their strengths. You have a plan how you play, how you defend. You practice ways to score. So you have a plan. Before you get into the job search, get a plan. And one of the exercises is start with questions. And I like to engage you here and ask you a question. What question do you have? What question do you ask yourself when you look at your ideal career? If you think about your job after graduation, what's the question you ask yourself? I invite you to go to the chat box on the right and enter a question. What's one question that you ask yourself about your career? I'll give you 20 seconds to type in that question, hit send, so we can have a brief conversation and interaction here. Graham, do you see the questions coming up?
Nothing just yet. I'm sure people are typing.
Okay, so here are the questions that I believe are most critical. Okay, there we go. Will I be satisfied at work? Will I be fulfilling? Will it be fulfilling? Good. So feel free to ask those questions. Let me go through some of the questions that I ask myself and that a lot of other career candidates ask. First of all, how do I get started? Where do I start? Another important question is, what do I want? What's important to me? What's my passion? What makes me fulfilled? So it's all about knowing yourself. And one of the things we talk about is having a tool, an assessment tool that helps you build self-awareness. What am I good at? What's a competency that you can offer to your future employer? How do I present myself, what I'm good at? Sometimes I come across managers, they're very good at what they do, but they are not able to present themselves. Other people don't see that. So it's about how do we influence others to help them see our strength. Where do I find a job I want? How do you go out there and uncover opportunities, explore companies that have the right match, the right fit for me, and the right opening at the right time? And most importantly, that's what I asked myself in 1997. Why should a company hire me? What I have to give them reasons to hire me, and I better have a good answer to that. So there are some questions that I think we have to go through and prepare when you launch your career search. You want to have clarity around those questions. Step number 2, effective networking. And networking is a process with others to exchange information, advice, and contacts. Again, going back to my own experience. When I started looking for a job in that summer, a friend of mine told me is you got to go out and network. Most jobs are referred through that, are filled through networking. So I went to this event. It was in Mission Valley at one of those hotels. A Wednesday at noon, I stepped into this room. It was a networking event for the American Training and Development Society. There were 120 people in the room. I come in and I didn't know anybody. I felt a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit self-conscious. So I stood to the side and looking at everybody, talking to each other, and I felt a little bit left out, shy, reserved. And I was waiting for people to come up to me. After 5 minutes, nobody came up, nothing happened. And I thought to myself, okay, why am I here? I'm here to connect with people, build relationships, and ultimately find a company that wants to hire me. By me standing on the side and watching and staying there is not going to get me there. I need to approach people. I need to get out of my own comfort zone. Again, which was uncomfortable. Somehow I found myself to do that, push myself, and went up to people, introduced myself, and they detected an accent, so immediately the ice was broken and the conversation got started. This incident, I continue to remind that, shows me that waiting by the sideline doesn't get you anywhere. You have to step outside. You have to approach people. You have to take initiative. You gotta make the step. And waiting for others to come to you is not gonna happen. Sometimes I see people sitting at a computer, looking through job boards, sending their resume, and waiting. I think those days are over. Effective networking means you gotta get out there, connect with people. A very powerful way is to use LinkedIn, get a good profile, connect with a lot of people, and then actively develop those and nurture those relationships. Here's a study that shows how people land a job. And you can see based on the Gartner Group's resource, over 70% of the jobs are filled through networking-related activities. Either networking, info meetings, and some are online and recruiting. So it's a key message to understand. So networking is key. Step number 3, having career clarity. People often look for jobs and they don't know what they want. The more they know what they want, the more they are clear about the path, the direction, the jobs they're searching for, the easier it is to target those. Now, how do you find out about what is a good fit for you? And that's where I relate to the 16PF personality assessment. I use a lot of assessments in my coaching work, and I use personality assessments like this one here. I use behavioral assessments, and when I start looking for a job, I connected with a career coach, and he gave me a behavioral assessment. I filled it out. Took me 15 minutes, and I got this 20-page report, which was very enlightening. I was surprised how much this report described me and my preferences. It really opened up my eyes, and it gave me more clarity about what's important to me. What are my behavioral preferences, and how will that help me move into a job that is fulfilling? So the 16PF provided by Penn is a great tool that gives you insight about 4 different areas. First one, it gives you a strength fit. There are 16 competencies, such as strategic visioning, customer focus, taking initiative, decision-making, planning, teamwork, or managing of others. So you can, based on those 16 competencies, it gives you an indication about in which areas you do well, which areas that is a strength for you. So you want to make sure you use those strengths in your profile, in your resume, your LinkedIn, and also in how you present yourself. The second area is the personality fit. Gives you indication about the relationships at work. Are you more introverted, extroverted? Do you like to collaborate more or more influential? What's your thinking approach? You're more tough-minded, critical thinker, or more sensitive? It also gives you indication about flexibility and structure. And how do you manage under pressure? Are you more reactive or have more stable approach? The next area is interest fit. And it gives you some indication about different jobs around organizing, helping, creating, analyzing, producing, and adventure. And interestingly, I did this 16PF, and one of the top interests is adventuring. I love to be outdoors. I love to be in nature. I love to be active. And the top position role that is suggested to me is ski instructor. Interestingly, during my college years, I was a ski instructor. Every year, I was up in the mountains instructing kids for a few weeks, and I loved it. So this assessment basically nailed my ideal role. Now, thinking about my current role now, I'm not a ski instructor. I'm a teacher, and I teach people in businesses how to be more effective leaders. So a lot of the skills of a ski instructor apply to my role: teaching, counseling, providing information, guiding people, facilitating. So this assessment really kind of brings to light what's interesting and a good fit for me. And the last one, culture fit. What kind of culture you fit in? More formal, informal, more innovative? What's the hierarchy you prefer? more open or more political centered. Question here, I like to do a quick poll and ask who is familiar with the 16PS? Who has taken this assessment? And just answer yes or no. Go to quick poll and then just answer yes or no. So taking an assessment is a great way to build self-awareness and guide you in the right direction. Step number 4.
By the way, Simon, it looks like about half of the people in attendance today have taken the 16PF. Close to 50.
Okay. Very good. Very good. It would be interesting to ask a follow-up question in terms of how they use it and what's the value they gain from this assessment. Good. Let's move on to step number 4. Build a powerful personal brand. And the brand, I define it as the essence of you recognized by others. So the essence of you is really about what we just covered about your personality base that you learn in the 16PS. The other thing is recognized by others. So who are the others? In your situation, your colleagues, your classmates, even your teachers, your friends. And if you go out in the job places, we need to build a brand within the organization or the industry we want to work in. We have to go out there and influence and create a positive impact. Make sure the recognition is positive. They see us valuable. They see us positive. They see us authentic. I believe authentic is very, very key. That we come across natural, sincere, and genuine. So how do we build a powerful personal brand? One is to recognize what gets in the way. I wrote this book a few years back, Stand Out, Branding Strategies for Business Professionals. I interviewed people who have built tremendous strong brand and people who are not good at that. They have 4 obstacles. First, they're not comfortable talking about themselves. I grew up in Switzerland, and we don't talk much about ourselves because we think talking about ourselves is bragging. Now, how do we talk about ourselves in an authentic way? And one of the tools in the next step that I'm going to introduce. Second obstacle, we are not clear about what we offer as a value. What's the value proposition? If you are a marketing professional and you want to promote a product, one of the key questions is, what's the USP, the unique selling proposition, the value proposition? Same thing, we are out there in a marketplace. We offer our talent. Companies offer jobs and a salary and opportunities for growth. And it's a marketplace. So we have to better understand how we position ourselves. Next obstacle, not connecting with decision makers. How do we get in front of the people who are hiring? People who hire managers, executives, they're very busy. How do we get their attention? How do we get in front of the right company and the right decision maker? The last challenge is we don't know how we are perceived. So it's important to have an outside perspective. With that in mind, there are 3 strategies I suggest. First, know your value proposition. Focus on your strengths. Highlight those strengths. Like when I was looking for a job after graduation, I used my ski instructor experience, and I told a story about how I was teaching a group of 12 young kids up in a mountain, which showed that I had responsibility, I could lead a team, and I could be reliable for younger people. So understand what's the value and how do you relate that to the workplace. Next strategy is keywords. Keywords are especially important in today's world with the internet. And here's a quick little background about understanding how companies hire. So I wrote an article and also an ebook about trends in hiring process. And if you're interested, send me an email, contact@simonvera.com, and just write request ebook on career planning, and I'll send you that 20-page ebook. It's some very powerful concepts and also 3 trends. So here's one of the trends in hiring. Companies need to hire key talent. The days are over where they post on a job board or Monster and wait. Now they have recruiters. They spend 95% of their time on LinkedIn, and they put in keywords to find potential candidates. Most of the candidates are already in positions, and they send an email and says, hey, we have this opening, it's a very exciting opportunity, are you interested? So they go and hook them. They start a conversation, they start asking for a resume, they get them into the interviewing process. So companies go and target key talent to get them on board. And so the question here is for you, what are the keywords for you to be found? Let's assume you have a great LinkedIn profile. And LinkedIn is where the recruiters spend their time. So there's a company who needs a marketing person, entry-level marketing for promotions, maybe for trade shows, maybe for online marketing. And if you have experience in that, you have a major in marketing, and you love to go to events and trade shows and seminars and present, what you need to do in your LinkedIn profile, you need to put in the keywords that a recruiter would put in to find candidates to fill this position. When you do a really good job, recruiters reach out to you and say, hey, we have this opening position as a marketing professional. Are you interested? So keywords are key to be found, to stand out. So you have to create a case about yourself that gets people reach out to you. Last strategy, understand, know your perception. There are 4 ways that impact your perception. What we say, how we say it, delivery, the tone, the pitch, the pace, how we look. Appearance is very important. What we do. Little things matter, like what's your voicemail saying? Is it professional? No background noise. Are you on time? Do you follow up with emails within short time? Or do you respond 10 days later? What we do creates a perception, creates an image, creates a reputation. So we want to be conscious and aware of how we manage that. And another important impact is what others say about us. When you go through an interviewing process, chances are high that the company asks for references from your managers, from your colleagues. You want to make sure what they say about you, you know what that is, and it's congruent with how you present yourself. The next, second last step is using powerful stories. There's the saying, stories sell, facts tell. At the end, we gotta put a positive light on us. And stories is a great way to do it. Stories is how we remember things, how we influence things. And storytelling is a powerful tool in the interviewing process. Here's a concept I learned from a recruiter called PTM. So when you tell a story, make it specific, make it relevant, and use specific tools such as people. Relate to the people, how many people you worked with or how many you have led. Use time-related topics and use financial measures. Here are 3 examples. This is a student I had at university. There's 3 examples from 3 students, and they put together a resume and we helped them fine-tune it. The first one was a valet desk manager, and he had first in his resume managed the valet desk at the Fish Market. It's a restaurant down here in San Diego. Now we changed it to manage an average of 150 cars in a 5-hour shift. Now what's the difference between those 2 statements? The second one tells you much more about your productivity, about your efficiency. It shows you that you can move, you run, you make things happen. So it's specific. It creates a story. Next example, shipping manager. This person, I think was internship, managed the warehouse inventory. So the second, we helped him phrase it in a more effective way. Managed inventory valued at 80,000 with a turnover per year. So it shows this person had responsibility, knew how to deal with assets and resources. And the last example, call center supervisor, led and guided a team of 8 call center operators answering an average of 500 inbound calls. Again, it gives you a story. It shows that this person was responsible for a lot of calls. And that shows responsibility and management skills. So when you tell a story, use people, time, money concept. Make it measurable. Make it specific. When you do that, you stand out and you're going to be ahead of a lot of other candidates. It's a very powerful concept. Now, using evidence in stories, I love this quote by Muhammad Ali. It's not bragging when you can back it up. So when you tell a story, make sure it's evidence-based. It's factual, and that's where numbers and the people, time, money concept comes in. It's a powerful concept that, again, tells the story. Last one, interviewing for success. We all have to go through interviews to find a job. So how do we put ourselves out there? How do we create a strong presence? We got to understand what companies are looking for. They want to look for 3 things. Number 1, they ask, can the candidate do the job? They look for skills, knowledge, expertise. So they ask about your background. Maybe you have done some internships. What did you study? What are subject matters you're interested? So they ask questions around that. The next one is, will the candidate do the job? It's all about attitude, commitment, initiative taking. Can they rely that the person shows up on time all the time and stays late when it's needed? Are they really committed to the company's interest? The last one, will the company and the candidate be a good cultural fit? Is there good alignment between the person and the culture? When you look at those 3 things, The first one, that's why people get hired. The second one, why people perform well and stay. And the last one is the reason why people leave. People leave because there is not a good match in terms of culture and person. So for us as candidates, we have to, as much as companies interview us, we have to interview them, that we have the right match on our end. Tips for interviewing, 3 things from the company's point of view. Ask yourself, how can I solve problems for the company? Where can I add value? What's my biggest contribution? Number 2, provide information why you are the best candidate for the job. And lastly, is there a good natural fit? I had a student, he graduated with an MBA in San Diego. He was from Germany. And he was doing an internship at Audi in Germany. And he came here, got his MBA, and he had 6 months time to find a job. Because of visa reasons, he needed to get a job within 6 months. He found this company. They provide shocks to car manufacturing companies. He found out through websites that they had an opening. And so he approached the company, the HR, the managers, did a lot of research, finally got an interview with the HR manager, and convinced the HR manager to put together a meeting with the CEO. Before he met with the CEO, he did all the research about the company, the history, the pain points, the strategy, and he created a PowerPoint specifically for this position. It was executive assistant role of the CEO. Answer the questions, how he can add value, why he's the best fit, and created a great history of his background. And the CEO was so impressed with this PowerPoint, he hired him immediately. Because part of the role was also putting PowerPoints together for the CEO. So it was a great showcase in the interview to show that he's good in what he does. So when you go into interviews, prepare. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Sometimes it's a half an hour, 1 hour interview. It's not unusual that people prepare 2-3 days for that. So in summary, here are 6 steps I believe are critical for your career and finding the sweet spot. Have a game plan. Know how to network and build alliances and relationships. Gain clarity about what you want, what you're good at. Put yourself out there in a positive light. Learn how to tell stories authentically, specifically, truthfully, and become good at interviewing. I love this quote by Diana Ross. You can sit here and wait for people to give you that golden dream. You have to get out there and make it happen for yourself. I hope you got some ideas and tools for you to get out there and pursue your own fulfilling, rewarding dream career. We have a few minutes left if there are any questions. Again, if you are interested in the book, you can get it on Amazon. If you're interested in the ebook on career planning, shoot me an email, contact@SimonVetter. If you want to LinkedIn with me, you find me on LinkedIn. Just drop me a note, refer to this webinar, and I'm happy to connect with you.
All right, thank you, Simon. So if anybody has questions, you can go ahead and enter them in either the question section or the chat box right now. We'll go ahead and stay on the line for a few more minutes for anybody that's able to stick around and has any questions. For everybody else, thank you again for joining us today.
Graham, you have any questions, or you want to close the call here?
So Simon, I had a question here. If you can just give, I know you touched on a little bit what Leading with Vision is about, and how you're helping business leaders through it. Can you give us just a 1-minute synopsis of this book and what kind of value it could provide to our users?
Yes. So it all started a few years back. My colleague does a survey called Executive Trend Survey, and they had interviewed over 450 companies and asked the question, what are the most critical leadership skills and what are the most lacking leadership competencies? And the last few years, the most lacking competency is the ability to create and convey a vision and engage the workforce around it. That's what companies need, that leadership quality. At the same time, it's the least developed quality. So there's a big gap. So we went on a journey and asked the question, who does it right? Who creates a compelling vision? Who answers the question, where are we going? Why should people join us? What's in it for the employees that they want to work for us? It's war for talent, and companies have a hard time attracting the best talent. So we came up with a lot of stories, and we found out there are 4 key qualities that leaders must develop. Number 1 is having courage to be bold, make decisions, look into the future, and pursue a worthwhile path. Second quality is forge clarity. Be very crystal clear. Describe the ideal future. Create a picture. Get people excited. I've done a lot of work with Microsoft, and I think when you look at the Microsoft in the early days, they had a clear vision, a desktop on every desk. And when the 70s happened, they were fulfilling the vision the next 20 years. And number 3 is build connectedness. Make sure there's an emotional connection between the leaders, the employees, and the company. And the last one is build culture. What's the culture like? How is it working there? So we have specific examples, case studies of companies who do things well in those areas. So that's a brief synopsis of the book.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. I'm not seeing any final questions, so unless there's anything else, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Again, the recording of this webinar is accessible by returning to the same link that you clicked to join the webinar today. And we will also be hosting it on our blog at amijobready.com, as well as on our Facebook page and YouTube page. Thank you all again for joining. Have a great day.